Hello there.
Hello there, everybody. Back for the second live show today. This is the standard pre-game show before majority of the games. A weird one today because it is New Year's Eve. Of course, two games. One game's already done. The Pacers beat the Cavs pretty comfortably, 119-99. The Wizards and the Bulls are still going, but there are 5 games still to tip off. The first one of those starting in 30 minutes. There's still a bit of a recap of the news that has happened during the day. Maxi Kleber is listed as questionable for tomorrow. It looks like Joel Embiid is going to play. For the Sixers, the Bulls are dealing with some COVID issues. Archer-Jacquino, Satoransky, Hutchison, and Markkanen are all likely out for tomorrow's game as well. DeAnthony Melton is likely out for until next week with his COVID issues, and Grayson Allen is doubtful with an ankle sprain, so that's opening up things for Desmond Bane over there. Danilo Gallinari, the Italian cock, he's going to miss the Hawks' next game tomorrow against the Nets, while DeAndre Hunter has also cropped up on the injury report as being questionable. Trae Young is probable with a calf issue. Draymond Green is likely to return for the Warriors, while Eric Pascal is questionable. For the Heat, Kelly Olynyk is probable, as is Jimmy Butler, so that's a positive. The Knicks are going to be missing a bunch of guys today. Alec Burks is out again, as is Emmanuel Quickley. Blake Griffin's out for the Pistons tomorrow. Killian Hayes is still questionable. Josh Okogie and Karl Anthony Towns remain out tomorrow. But I'll tell you what the biggest news probably is that now this could be an error, but I think it's important for everybody to know that at this point, that the Spurs put out their injury report and Derek White isn't on it. LaMarcus Aldridge is on it as questionable. Quinndary Weatherspoon is on it. Derek White is not on it. Now, remember when Keldon Johnson came back? We thought he was missing the start of the season. Then it was like, oh, no, here we go. He's ready to go, and he's starting and playing 30-plus minutes. And we thought, does this mean that maybe maximum Derek is not that far away? Maybe that's exactly what's happening. Now, I talked about it in the Points League show yesterday that Derek White was rostered in like 18% of ESPN leagues. 18. Every single person playing every single ESPN league needs to go and add Derek White immediately. You got to add him. You have to do it. He could be back tomorrow. He might not be, but you got to add him regardless. He needs to be rostered in every single league, and he could be back as early as tomorrow. So make sure you go and add maximum Derek White if he is sitting on your waiver wire. Let's have a look now at what news that we do have that's come through in terms of starting lineups. Well, we know, of course, the first 2 games they've started already. The Bulls were without Markkanen, so Otto Porter started. It looked like it was going to be Thad Young, but Otto Porter moved in. Now, we do have confirmation on the Magic starting lineup. It is the same one that they've been running. They're going to have so that was the Sixers. Dwayne Bacon, Evan Fournier, Markelle Fultz, Aaron Gordon, and Nick Vucevic, while the Sixers are going with Seth Curry, Joel Embiid, Danny Green, Toby Harris, and Ben Simmons. No surprise there. For the starters for both of those teams, the Rockets have confirmed their starting lineup. John Wall, James Harden, Danuel House, PJ Tucker, and Christian Wood, while the Kings, I expect, will go with De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, and Rashawn Holmes. We need to look at the Knicks and the Raptors. I think they'll run with the same starting lineups. The Pelicans, I think, will be the same starting lineup. The Thunder one, we're going to get Al Horford and George Hill back from rest, so they probably slide back into the starting lineup. And I don't think there's too many question marks on the Suns and the Jazz. They'll run that same sort of lineup that they've been running the majority of the time. If we have a look at some DFS value for the games today, the last 5. If we're talking about DraftKings, I really like Alfred Payton with Alec Burks and Quickly out. 5,900 looks good. I think Mitch Robinson at 5,600 looks good. I think if you want to look at someone who's going to be low rostered, Michael Carter-Williams, no Terrence Ross, no James Ennis. So he's going to play a lot of minutes at the 3. I think we look, you can also look at Dwayne Bacon in that scenario. Darius Baisley, Markelle Fultz, James Harden. I like all of their DraftKings value. I like Rudy Gobert and his value. I even like $3,500 of Hassan Whiteside. Now, that's only in a GPP, but if for some reason Holmes gets in foul trouble, and Whiteside has to play 25 minutes, and he'll smash that number. That's the GPP differentiator that you can use. You're not throwing him in everywhere, but I think that's at least worth looking at. I think Bagley at 53 is not bad. I don't mind John Wall at 71, and Boogie Cousins is at 5,000. I don't think that is a terrible one to have a look at as well over on DraftKings. So there's some of my better ones. I like Julius Randle as well, 8,800. He comes in looking pretty strong. Let's now have a look over on FanDuel. Now, FanDuel's main slate is just a 4-game slate. It doesn't include the Sixers and the Magic. So if we're looking at value there, love Alfred Payton and Mitchell Robinson, both 5,200 on FanDuel. Reggie Bullock at 36 looks great. I like Buddy Hield. I like RJ Barrett. I like Julius Randle a lot at 8,000. Baisley at 57. I like Gobert at 77. I like Harden at 11.5. I even think if you want to go, our Whiteside punt play on DraftKings, I also think Eric Bledsoe at 4,800 is an interesting punt option. Now, also, just as we're talking here, the Wizards and the Bulls are going on, and Thomas Bryant just rolled his ankle. So that is a problem. If that's a high ankle sprain, which he's holding a little bit high up, there potentially is a problem there, and that it's going to open up minutes for Robin Lopez. Now, he is not a 12-team ad, but what it does mean is we might get some more minutes where they go super small and play Davis Bertans. It might mean that Flaming Mo Wagner could come into the rotation, so for 14 to 16-team leagues. Another thing to watch for with the Raptors today, Nick Nurse is saying that maybe Malachi Flynn or Terrence Davis could be in the rotation. I hope it's Flynn, because I think he's really good, and they are in trouble, the Raptors at the moment. Not complete panic, but they haven't won. The Kings just announced their starters: De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, and Richaun Holmes. Nobody is surprised with that whatsoever. All right, so we've got people, not many people into the pregame show today, I guess because games are already started. Don't have anyone in here today, so that's very, very interesting. All right, that's fine. We'll keep going. We'll keep talking. All right, questions. Anyone got any questions here in the chat? I hope you guys liked the live question and answer show that I did today. All right, thoughts on Jaylen Brown, sell high or hold? I think he's a little bit of a sell high because his shooting numbers are out of control. They're so good, and his steal numbers are absolutely through the roof. But as with all sell highs, you're not selling high to get a top 60 guy back. If someone wants to give you a top 30 player back, then that's what you do. That's how you work that sell high. Dylan Brooks for DeAndre Ayton. Yes. Someone just traded away Dylan Brooks for DeAndre. Jesus Christ. This is what I mean. Where shit does happen. Wild stuff does go down. That is a crazy, crazy thing. All right. What else have we got going on here in the chat? I want confirmation on this Derek White thing. I'd love to hear about it from a Spurs person, but I don't have any information there. All right, Thomas Bryant, update there. He is staying in the game, so that's great news there for Thomas Bryant. Some people have a life on New Year's Eve. Cool, good for you. I wasn't saying not to have a life. That's awesome. Enjoy yourself. Also, there is a pandemic on, so maybe people should be just being a little bit more cautious on New Year's Eve. That's just me, though. Yes, Thomas Bryant did roll his ankle. Yes, he is back. He is playing in the game. Why is Devin Booker priced so low on FanDuel? Because he's been struggling. So that's why that price is low. That does give you a little bit of value there. I see Joshua Lynn asking me a Draft Stars question. Might as well throw it in. Draft Stars does support not this particular show, but they support my show in general. So let's throw it out there. And what is his question regarding Draft Stars? It was Ingram or Wood. All right, let's have a look. See how I feel about those guys. I think Ingram is the guy. Ingram is probably the guy there for me. He is at 13,430. Yeah, it's him over Wood to me. Yeah, that's the direction that I would go with that one. Joshy Lynn. All right, still no confirmation. I see Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs has seen my note about Derek White, and that a shout out to someone who gave me that information, because there was someone on my Discord server who noticed that before me. So let me see if I can find who it was. Shout out to N Romo. I think it's Nathan Romo. Maybe I'm wrong. N Romo 24. No, it wasn't him. Sorry, my mistake. It was Drippin that said that. Drippin. So thank you for noticing that. We would have come to that eventually, but he alerted me to that fact. And now it's out there. Let's see what it means. I'm really, really intrigued to see what that actually means. Ethan, Derek White. He's asking about Derek White. I'm going to repeat this again. Derek White is not listed on the injury report for the Spurs tomorrow. Could be an oversight, could be an error, but he is not listed. Maybe he's back. Let's find out. Is Wendell Carter a drop in a 10-man league? I am not dropping Wendell Carter. Is Terry Rozier and James Wiseman for Oubre a fair trade? I don't really care about fair. Is it a good trade? I think I'd probably prefer the Oubre side, but there is quite a bit of difference in those players. You're talking big man stats versus guard and wing stats. I think I'd probably prefer that Ubre side. Chris Main, are you comfortable with Wall to get enough minutes today for DFS rostering? Yes, I do have him in some of my lineups, so yes. Do I think Alfred Payton will hold the starting job in New York? He's been better the last 2 games, and we know that Tibbs is going to rely upon veterans if they're playing at even a decent level. So I'd say for the immediate short term, yes, Alfred Payton will hold that job. But let's see what happens. FOB says thoughts on Nurkic. I couldn't have given any more thoughts on Nurkic at any point. I've talked about it excessively. Yesterday's show, this morning's mailbag show, so many thoughts. And the short part is just hold him. You got to hold him, or you buy very low. Is Patrick Williams okay to hold in a 14-team league? Yes, I think so. Wendell is so bad, though. He's not. He's not that bad. He's not at his prime. We know that. But I think people make sweeping statements a lot. And to say Wendell Carter is so bad is just not accurate. Let's have a look. I say that. Maybe he's ranked 180th, and I'm completely off my rocker here. I'm not dropping him. I still believe in him. No one is taking that starting center job away from him. That's what I feel pretty confident with. He's 167th ranked player this year, which is not great. His block numbers, he hasn't had a single steal yet. His block numbers, he had 2 blocks in 4 games, and his free throw shooting is well below where it's been. So there is significant room for him to improve. Do not drop him. Do not drop him. Cannot stress my opinions on that enough. Should I sell high on Randall and try and trade for Nurkic? I hope they're 2 separate things. Should you sell high on Randall? Yes, because he's shooting 69% from 3 and it's not going to continue. Selling high on Randall to get Nurkic back is not something you should do. If you want to get Nurkic, people are literally dropping Nurkic. You can get him for much, much less value. If you're selling high on Randall, look, as there is, again, I say this all the time, if there's a 50-50 chance that Randall ends up better than Nurkic this season, which you can see that happening, then it's not a sell high, buy low. If you can get him for a top 20 player, if I can get Jimmy Butler back, if I can get an injured Karl Anthony Towns back in a Randall deal, then I do that. Joe says, I should have asked Mike about Robert Covington for the Portland update. Will he suck less? Yeah, I could have asked him about lots of things. I just didn't want to take up too much of his time. I only needed him for a couple of minutes, but you know that I was down on Covington heading into this season because he just didn't have that same free reign that he had in Houston. I think he'll be better than he is. In a points league, I reckon he's a drop, Covington. In a 10 points league, maybe a 12, he's probably a drop. He will be better than he currently is, though. I feel confident about that. His minutes are pretty safe. Is Lauri Markkanen a drop in an 8-team points league? Probably. In an 8-team league, people get injured, man. You can just stream through that waiver wire because there's a lot of good players out on the waiver wire. Don't forget that I'm going to do on Thursday, every Thursday, probably around that 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, a live mailbag show, and I'm going to endeavor to get one of the hosts from the Locked On Podcast Network on to talk about a player that's trending either in a good direction or a bad direction. So, instead of me just being the only person that throws that opinion on that player, we can get someone local who can give us an option there. So that's what I did with Mike today, talking about Nurkic, and we'll do that once a week. That's my plan at this point anyway. Christian Kinzer, PJ Washington or Miles Bridges? I assume it's Miles Bridges because they play for the same team, but he just wrote Bridges. I will say Washington. That would be my one that I would go with there. I tried to get Nurkic for Dragic, but I play in too many leagues with Basketball Monster members. Yeah, hey, that is a good trade to try, though. But yeah, a lot of people, but there are people still on Basketball Monster who are overreacting like crazy on Nurkic. So you never know who the person is there. Is Norman Powell a drop? I think in a lot of cases he is. Is there any chance Gafford takes Carter's job? I would say that's 0.1%. Maybe it happens. I would be pretty surprised. Daniel Gafford, from what I've watched of him and talking to Bulls people, he doesn't seem ready. But to be saying that, he's been pretty good in this game at halftime against the Wizards. 14 minutes, 13 and 5. He can have these occasional big games, and he is outplaying Carter today in this game. I'm not going to deny that. He is outplaying him. But I'm not going to think that that's going to happen. I think that they are still invested in Carter pretty heavily. Lonzo Ball or John Wall, who do I fancy in DFS tonight? Charles, salaries are important, so I'll need to know what site you're playing on before I give a comment on that. Gafford is looking better than Wendell. Yeah, I just talked about that. Is it today? Absolutely, he is. Prior to that, no, he was not. Will the wiki Chris Boucher get decent minutes today? Shinji, good question. Yes, I think he will. Mitchell Robinson is not Joel Embiid. Nerlens Noel is, a third of the weight of Joel Embiid? I think Boucher's minutes will go back up. Halliburton or LaMelo Ball for what? Fantasy, I'm guessing. LaMelo, I'll take there. I'm pretty big on LaMelo. Richie Otten, what's up with Wiseman? Is he a hold? Wiseman is not as good as people made him out to be. Context is so important. You can look at his numbers from the first 2 games and go, shit, man, that's fantastic. But he just really got everything in garbage time. And when there's not garbage time, he just doesn't play that much because he's not that good. He has a lot of issues with defensive recognition and offensive system recognition, and that's because he just hasn't played in so long. Now, I think that those issues existed beforehand, but they're obviously amplified from where things are and his situation and not playing games for as long as he did. Is D'Angelo Russell a buy low? Yes, he is. Is Desmond Bain, a nice stream option for tomorrow? Absolutely. No Grayson Allen, no DeAnthony Melton, no Ja Morant. I think Bain is going to start, and I would be absolutely looking to stream him in. But remember, there is 10 games tomorrow. So if you add him, is he actually going to be able to play? That's the question we've got to pay attention to, I guess. Will he be in your best 10 guys that you can activate and get in there? Is Sabonis a sell high option? Yeah, maybe. I like what he's doing. When I see what he's doing, how much of it is unsustainable? I'm just going to bring up Sabonis's numbers to have a bit of a look, because that's when we talk sell high. It's about what's sustainable, what isn't. Are they getting minutes that they're most likely not going to get continually? Well, I don't think that's the case for Sabonis, so we're fine there with his role. He's the 34th ranked player. He's playing 37 minutes, so maybe that comes down, and it probably does. He's shooting 58 from the field. That's not outrageous. He's had a 59% shooting season in his past. The part that's probably the most unsustainable there is 7 assists per game. I expect that is going to come down somewhat for Sabonis. So there is some level of sell high, but I would think that he's going to be a top 40 player at the very least with how he's going at the moment. Things are looking really, really good for Sabonis. He's putting up some massive numbers, and I think you can't help but be impressed with what sort of stuff he's putting out at the moment. It's really, really impressive, and I'm into it. I'm into what he's doing. I still think there are some worries with him defensively, of course, but he is putting up good numbers, and I don't really think we can ask for too much more than that. Victor Oladipo has been impressive for the Pacers as well, which is great to see. You love seeing a guy who was injured get back to not quite their best, but impressive nonetheless. All right, the questions. Is Luke Kennard a hold in Dynasty? Yeah, I think he is. I think he's still got that talent that you want to hold on to. Obviously, his situation isn't great with the Clippers, but who knows what happens. I think Lou Williams goes, and he just absorbs a lot of Lou Williams' role in that bench unit for the Clippers next season. I don't know if Williams goes this year or next year, but I'm pretty sure he's gone by next year. All right, so we've got all of the lineups confirmed for the next bunch of games. Sixers and Magic, Kings and Rockets, that's all confirmed. Then we're just waiting on the last 3 games, and I don't think there's going to be too many surprises on all of those ones. All right. I see a lot of people now finding my tweet about Derek White and his injury report, and someone asked me if I've got a link to it. Maybe I'll throw it into the chat here as well if you want to have a look for yourself at the injury report. Thomas Bryant is okay. So Thomas Bryant dominating. Yep, Tesh Desai. Sammy Sears. Why does Westbrook rest on back-to-backs? Because his knee is screwed. He's got consistent knee problems, and they need to rest him for that reason. That's why. Is Garland and Rozier a sell high at this point? Rozier, yes. Garland, I'm not sure. I think Garland is relatively sustainable, what he's doing. I was big on him at the start of the season. Not this big. I didn't think he was going to be this good. I think it's... let's have a look. Are the minutes sustainable? Was the role sustainable for a start? He's not losing that point guard job, so we can tick that one off. He's playing 36 minutes a night. I think that might stick. His usage is at 21%. It's not outrageously high. He hasn't missed a free throw. That'll come down. His assists at 7 a game. Maybe that can stick. He's hitting 52% of his threes. So there's your sell high moment, right? It's all about just looking through individual things and seeing what's off. That 52%, that comes down to 37%. It's a big drop, 15 percentage points. And that drops his threes made per game. It drops his overall field goal percentage. And it drops his scoring. I still think he's got a real chance to maybe be a top 50 player. Maybe top 60, but he's 29th at the moment. There's going to be a drop-off from there. Feel pretty confident about that. What do I think about LaMarcus Aldridge? I'm pretty worried about him, to be honest. Hang on. Woj bomb on TJ Warren. I didn't say that. Holy shit. TJ Warren undergoes surgery to repair a stress fracture in his foot. He's out indefinitely. All right, so, okay. TJ Warren, we can obviously put him in IR, and we can drop him if we don't have an IR spot. Aaron Holiday will be the starter. He's not a must roster. He becomes a 14-team league guy. Justin Holiday is still solid as that steals guy. That's helpful for Sabonis, it's Turner, Oladipo, and Brogdon. The Thunder starters are out now as well. We're getting news drops all over here. Gilgeous-Alexander, Hill, Dort, Baisley, and Horford as expected, but that is huge there on Woj. And that foot injury, that is going to cost him, I would imagine, the majority of this season, would be my guess. Yeah, I guess that's going to, yeah. I'm just going to update stuff on Basketball Monster, because that's really big news, obviously. Just let me just do this. Sorry. All right, so that is massive news there on TJ Warren. We were worried about his foot for sure. Wasn't expecting that to happen though. I'm going to knock him out for a while here. Zach Collins had this foot surgery on his foot as well, and yeah, it hasn't been great for him. I would imagine 2 months is a guess for me at this point, which is obviously rough. Yeah, that's bad news. That's really bad news. Because obviously he had that breakout in the bubble last year, and that was never going to continue. We're all well aware of that. This is going to boost some value for Doug McDermott in deeper leagues, and it also does help someone like Jeremy Lamb when he eventually returns. Oh, yeah. All right, what else have we got question-wise? Thank you for alerting me to that. What's my thoughts on OG Anunoby for the Raptors? I like him. He's a good bloke. Loves scarves. Guys, if you just ask me thoughts, like I can't really answer that effectively. Are you starting White tomorrow if he's back? Probably, but it really depends who my other options are. Shabib Abdul-Jabbar, who starts for them now? I assume you mean the Pacers. It will be Aaron Holiday, and he won't be a great option there. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, I don't think he's the greatest option there. So we're just trying to figure out what this all means for the Pacers. It's rough news. I think it means Lamb is going to have somewhat of a role when he eventually gets back. What else have we got going on? How do I pick up chicks, mate? You're asking the wrong person. I got no idea. I'm happily in a relationship. I don't need to pick up chicks. Anyway, just trying to figure out what's else going on. Is Otto Porter a waiver pickup after today's start? He started because Larry Markkinen was out, and that's why context is important. He looks good. He's putting up numbers, but what's his role going to be next game? He's on 13 points on 85% shooting, which is not going to stick. So no, you can. That's not true. You can add him. That's fine, but there is significant reasons as to why he's doing what he's doing today, mixed in with the fact that his shooting is completely unsustainable. So I think that's important to know, important to pay attention to. All right, let's have a look. If anyone's asking if Doug McDermott is a must-add player, he is not. He is not at all. More of a basketball question than fantasy. Do you think that the Blazers should have kept Whiteside for a veteran minimum? No, he's not that good. I'm telling you now, the reason why he's not there is he thinks he's better than he is. He got no market. The Enes Kanter, I think, might be actually a better option for them. No, they shouldn't have kept him. Is Rui Hachimura a hold? Sure. He started out really well here against the Bulls. 15 points on, again, 80% shooting and hit both of his threes. We know he doesn't do anything else. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal. And he's not going to be this good of a shooter. But sure, if you've got him, then he's someone that you can have a look at as an option. But I'm not completely enamored with him at this point. I think what this does do, though, is I reckon eventually it's going to open up an opportunity for Lamb to start. Now, he's coming off a devastating knee injury, so that's going to make it hard. But it does open up that opportunity for him. So that's something to keep an eye on. Wouldn't be adding him necessarily, but if I've got an open IR spot, I can put him into that area and feel okay about it. And it's going to be slow for him to get back for sure. No doubt about that. It is going to be a slow recovery for him to return. All right. Any other questions? Love when big news goes down as I'm doing this. Davis Bertans is sitting on the waivers from Brian Lee. Any value in picking him up as he gets into shape in minutes? I'm currently streaming Slow-Mo and George Hill this week. I think over Hill for sure. He would be someone that I would look at, yeah. We know what he does. He's a high percentage 3-point guy, but only 10 minutes here and a rough night. I would be fine adding him, but there is a crunch there. Hachimura, Avdia, Bertans, Bonga not even in the game yet. Here, this one, 17 minutes for Avdia in the first half is wild. Bertans is struggling, but I think he's still worth an add at least. All right, what other questions do you guys have for me? Let's have a bit of coffee. How long is TJ Warren out for, guys? Bruno Sullivan. Indefinitely, meaning we don't know, but surgery on stress fracture in a foot is a couple of months minimum. It's minimum 4. It's probably 8. It's most likely 12 weeks, I would assume, here for TJ. And if his fantasy season isn't over, it's got to be pretty close. If you don't have IR, you have to drop him. Does Depot gain value from the Warren injury? Yes. Dylan Brooks or Derek White while Ja Moran is out? Not even a question. It is Derek White. I don't even care that Derek White's not playing. Derek White is still better than Dylan Brooks where he's not playing. And that's shitting on Dylan Brooks a bit, but it's White that you want there for sure. What's the point of this show? It's to update you on the news, to help you get your DFS lineups in, to help you tell you what's going on with starting lineups, late-breaking injury news, preparing you for the games ahead, SSS. So thank you for the question. There's the answer. Chris Main says, I'm looking forward to seeing Houston with all the players back in. I am looking forward to that too. Very, very interesting to see how that all works, and how those lineups look and usage and minutes and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of interesting things to say there or to see over there. Still waiting on a few. We got the Knicks lineup in: Alfred Payton, Reggie Bullock, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. So that's confirmed there as well. Bertans is way off at the moment. I still add him in most places. Someone said there's a Kemba update. I have not seen a Kemba update. Just trying to pay attention to see if I can find any news about Kemba Walker. I have not seen any Kemba update. If anyone wants to throw that at me in the chat, you can. Am I always a dick? Yes. Is Robert Williams a sneaky pickup? Worried about Thompson coming back? Yeah, look, that's the problem with guys like Thompson and Tice and Williams, is that they're all going to cut into each other's minutes. I think Williams is an interesting stream for blocks for sure. Is that worth it in terms of adding him? I think in 14s, the blocks are really useful, but him pushing to a 25-minute role seems almost impossible with Tice and Thompson both there. It's going to require injuries for him to really step up, and they don't fully trust him at this stage. And that's part of the problem. Will Derek White impact Keldon Johnson? I think maybe marginally. I don't think so. I think might be a marginal cut, but I don't think it's going to be too. I don't think it's going to be too high. A lot of people asking here, will it be Doug McDermott that starts for TJ Warren? No, I really, really doubt that. It will be Aaron Holiday, I imagine, like we saw today. Who can I trade Jaylen Brown for? He is killing my free throw percentage. That's a problem with Jaylen Brown, but we didn't expect him to have this level of volume on his free throws to really have that level of impact. Who can you trade him for? Like, well, the way he's playing now, you got to aim high. You got to aim real high to try and get that value back. And maybe you just have to lean into it and go, well, Jaylen Brown's playing this well. Maybe do I just punt free throws and not worry about that category? Because am I going to get commensurate value back in the situation if I do trade him away? And I'm not certain that you will. So maybe it's better to lean into that sort of build rather than try and fix it. By trading him away and getting significantly worse players back. I think there is a concern there with that. All right, what else have we got? I'm going to answer one more question before we wrap it up for the day. This is a good one, and I think it's important. Chris Barazza says, when Derek White comes back, should I drop Alec Burks for him or TJ Warren? Now, Chris, in that one, it's TJ Warren because Warren's going to be out for a long term. But in general, so many people try and plan ahead when someone comes back off the IR. Like when he comes back at the end of the week, who do I drop? Like I don't know at this point. And in general, not always, but in general, when someone comes back, if they're on the IR, I like to give them one game that they just sit there. Now, sometimes they'll come in, they'll blow up in their first game back, and you'll look stupid. You go, I had him in IR and he had a massive game. That's terrible. But most times they're slow there. Sometimes they can re-injure themselves, so you keep them in that IR spot. It enables you to get games out of other players in that area. But trying to plan ahead, who do I drop in this case? Like we see injuries happen all the time. Literally 5 minutes ago, TJ Warren's out for weeks and weeks and weeks. So while we make plans here, like who am I going to drop in advance when White comes back? Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 weeks' time. Let's wait to see when it happens. Let's give it a little bit of time, even when he's necessarily back as well. Because the odds are that someone else on your roster might appear on the IR list, or someone else might be sucking, or someone else's role might be cut in half, or there'll be other moves that you need to make. Wait until it actually happens before you make that decision. No point trying to make that decision in advance, for sure. All right, I reckon that will do it for me now. All right, thank you for everyone being here and joining in. We do this 5 days a week, the pregame show. You'll see the schedule on the YouTube channel when the next one's coming up. Good luck today for your lineups, for your team, for your real life team, for your daily fantasy team, whatever it is. Good luck. And hey, I will see you later. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.